Tonight, WHS 11's Erik Waxler looks into one of the key issues dividing those in the sport and those looking for some major changes.
Sean Bridgemahan had to pay a $250 fine for striking another horse in the head during a race last July. Calvin Burrell was fined $500 for persistent improper use of the whip during a race in June of 2006. Both of these incidents took place at Churchill Downs.
We monitor the jockeys to make sure that they can only hit the horse on the shoulder or on the flank. They can't hit it on the stomach or on the head or on the neck.
Jockeys have also been penalized recently for incidents at Turfway Park in Florence. Miguel Mena was cited for striking his horse in the head after the finish.
If we feel that a jockey has made excessive use of the whip, we will fine them. We can bar them.
Still, the Kentucky Horse Racing Authority says they don't see very many incidents of jockeys crossing the line.
Usually when it happens either a jockey has lost his temper or he just made a stupid error.
Just last month in Delaware, jockey Jeremy Rose was suspended for 6 months after striking his horse in the eye. Rose says it was accidental, and he's appealing the suspension.
If we think that the horse has been cruelly treated by the jockey, we'll have our state veterinarian examine the horse to make sure that there were no welts or breaking of the skin.
People for the ethical treatment of animals have turned up the heat on horse racing after 8 Bell's death at this year's Kentucky Derby. Among the reforms they are calling for, completely banning the use of whips.
If you watch the footage from past races, you will see that these horses are viciously and violently whipped by jockeys in the final stretch. And there's a direct correlation between the whipping of an animal who's already in pain and the breakdowns that we're seeing on the tracks, such as 8 Bell's tragedy.
Louisville-based trainer Dale Roman says he'd be okay if whips were taken away.
Well, anything's possible as long as everybody's on the same page and doing the same thing. I don't think the whip's that big a deal myself. I think it's more the popping sound from the piece of leather on it, and you know, the jockeys use it to guide as much as they do to get them to go, and it's just more of a signal to the horse of what to do.
There is precedent for banning whips. Some jockeys in the United Kingdom are pushing to get rid of them, while Norway already did 16 years ago.
The whips are, most people don't realize the whips are kind of a safety issue because it does give the jockey another tool to guide, to control his mount.
You know, they got a lot of adrenaline going when they're running. I doubt if it's that painful.
Banning something just because the perception where most people just do not understand the value.
For years, the broken and dead bodies of horses have littered the tracks around the country. And the only difference now is that some of these more recent stories are really grabbing headlines.
The banning of whips is just one of the major reforms PETA is asking for. They'd also like to see tracks get away from dirt and go strictly to turf or synthetic surfaces. And they also want to prohibit horses under 3 years old from training or racing. PETA hopes to meet with Churchill Downs CEO Bob Evans in the weeks ahead. We'd like to hear what you think about the issue of banning whips. We've got a poll on our website. Just go to WHS11.com. Erik Waxler, WHAS 11 News.
It is.